temptation is not as simple as recognizing that there is something that you like doing that you ought to stay away from. That's not temptation. It only becomes temptation when you are placed in a position and you are faced with the thing you like, and you have to say no to that which you like doing. Did you get that? I said temptation is when you are put in the position and you are faced with the thing you like doing, and you have to say no to that which you like doing. It only becomes temptation when you are put in the position I said, and you are faced with the thing you like doing, and you have to say no to that which you like doing. That's temptation. It's not temptation until you have to say no to it. I'm going to say it again. It is not temptation until you have to say no to it. Look at your neighbor and say, it's not temptation until I have to say no. Does that ring your bell? It is not temptation until I have to say no. Joseph is doing his job, and he's doing it by himself. And Potiphar's wife starts checking him out, because if you look at the text, it's not what he said. It's what Joseph didn't say. Joseph says, my master has given me everything in this house, and you are the only thing he told me not to touch. So Joseph says, I can't do that. I can't do that. I'm going to say it again. Joseph says, I can't go there. Not because of those reasons. Joseph never says, I don't want it. Y'all not ready for this? Joseph never says, I don't want it. He only says, I can't do it. And sometimes you can want it. Oh, come on now, y'all. Come on now, talk to me. Sometimes you really, truly want it, but you have enough sense to say, I don't think I need it. Come on, fess up. Come on, fess up. How many of you sitting out there, if you be honest with yourself and say, I would do it, I do it, but there are some conditions that keep me from doing it. If I wouldn't get caught. Oh, come on. If I wouldn't lose my job. If I wouldn't mess up my reputation. It's not that I don't want it. It's not that I don't like to, I wouldn't like to have it, because I'm going to tell you, there are some of y'all that, oh, bless his holy name, and there are some brethren that's like this, and there's some crack that you got to have. There's a cigarette, there's some pressure, there's some issue in your life, and you have to say, it's not that I don't want it, it's just that I don't need it, and I can't have it because of what might happen to me. If I do this thing, then I will forfeit where God is going to take me. And I will lose the destiny that God has for me. Which means, folk, integrity doesn't mean I don't desire it. Do I need to say it again? Integrity means I desire God more than I desire that which is tempting me. And because of God's power, I have cultivated, notice what I said, I have cultivated the habit of saying no, when in the back of my mind, I'm really saying yes. Which means a whole lot of us right now would become liberated and free if we would just be honest with ourselves. Like, you know what? I sure want it. I sure do need it. I've got to have it. I sure like what it looks like. Quit fooling yourself. Sometimes we stay holy, not because we love God so much, but because we lack opportunity. And it's easy to stay holy when you don't have options. You out here talking about, I'm not going to do that. Well, you haven't had the chance to do it. What you don't like, it's never gotten in your face. Oh, come on. It's not hard to stay holy when you don't have options, but touch your neighbor and say, but when you are honest about yourself and know your weakness, you have to keep your chain. You got to pull your chain like you pull your dog on the leash and say, I can't. Come on, y'all, talk to me. I can't go that way. Self, you don't move. I've got to stay straight. How can I do this great wickedness and sin against God? Are there any real Christians in here who can testify that when that special temptation came your way, you had an option and you had to fight? There was some stuff that came your way and you really wanted it. And some of you, including all of us, at one time or another did it. I guess y'all saved and sanctified and filled with the Holy Ghost out here, so y'all don't know how to clap. But every last one of you have run across some mess, something that you really wanted, and by God, you did it. But by the grace of God, He picked you up. It's not that it don't look good. It's not that I don't want it. God has placed an anointing upon me. So even though I want to say yes, I have to say no, 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 because I've come too far to turn around. A few years ago, a young man was asked by some drug dealers and they could use his boat to deliver some drugs to Miami. And if so, they'd give him $20,000. The man said no. They came back a week later and said, if you take these 2 kilos into Miami, we'll give you $50,000. All you have to do is take it across the border. The man said, I can't do it. So they kept upping the price until finally they offered him $500,000 to bring 2 kilos across the border. Can somebody tell me what he did when they offered him $500,000? This is a true story now. He called the police. When they offered him $500,000, he called the police. The chief of police said to him, I'm just curious. why did you not call us when they made the very first offer? You knew what they were asking you to do was wrong, yet you said nothing, so they kept on making offers. But when they offered you $500,000, you call us. Why would you finally call us? The man replied, I called you because they were getting close to my number. Come here, somebody. See, you have to know when the devil is getting close to your number. If you don't know when the devil is getting close to your number, you in bad shape. You need to know when the devil is getting close to your number. Joseph reigned. Is that all right if I deal with my sanctified imagination? Y'all know I'm going to do it anyhow, don't you? Joseph reigned from Miss Potiphar because she kept upping the price. Now, one verse says he wouldn't sleep with her or be with her. But the Hebrew translation says he wouldn't even go in her presence. Wait a minute. Look at your neighbor and say that. He wouldn't. The Hebrew translation says he wouldn't even go in her presence. So inquiring minds want to know. Joseph, if you don't want to be in her presence, why do you go and do your job on a day when there's nobody in the house? Can I say that again? Joseph, if you didn't want to be in her presence, why would you go to work knowing no one is in the house but you and her? I believe when Potiphar's wife came close to Joseph, he heard his number being called. And when Joseph heard his number being called, that's when he decided to run. Now listen, he ran because he remembered the dream he had. And the dream that God showed him, Potiphar's wife, was nowhere in the dream. Am I too heavy this morning? Potiphar's wife was nowhere in the dream. So lesson number one, when you know your number is about to be called, start running. Do what, everybody? Joseph runs, but they're so close together. I mean, the space is so tight between them that he runs out of his clothes. So that in the midst of the struggle with his weakness, she gets a piece of what is his. But while she gets a piece of what was his, he still has his dream. Because his dream is not in the road. For Joseph never goes back and tries to retrieve the road. Woo. I can't get y'all to shout in here. Is anybody in here who knows what it means to walk away from some stuff? Because what God has for you was too important to worry about that stuff you lost? That half a man, that half of a woman, that half a piece of a job that you turned me on. Oh, y'all know the rest of the song? Huh? Y'all, if you haven't lost anything, I can understand you being quiet. But Jesus says, I am giving you a specific destiny, and I still have a promise for you, and so I have no intentions of letting Potiphar or anybody else lose my destiny. Next, Joseph counts the cost of the compromise. Joseph never said she wasn't everything a man could ever dream of. Look at the text. He never said she was ugly. He never said she wasn't fine. He never said she didn't smell good. He never said any of those things. Next lesson. Don't allow somebody else's problems to be projected into the pathway of your purpose. Can I say that again? Don't allow somebody else's problems to be projected into the pathway of your purpose. That's why a whole lot of you are still stuck where you are. Because you're allowing everybody else's mess to stay in your life. Oh. Watch this. If you look at the text, Potiphar's wife has no name. She's just Mrs. Potiphar. So that she's seen only as a valuable entity because of who she is connected to. Which means she already has one issue, and that is she is defined by who she is connected to. You have to be defined in and of yourself in order to have a relationship with somebody else. If you are not defined in and of yourself, you have an issue. Which means the reason why some of us have so low esteem about ourselves is because too many of us have to be connected to somebody who we think is valuable. You think in order for you to be valuable, you've got to be connected to somebody who you think is valuable, when in reality, they ain't about nothing. I'm trying to help y'all. Do you know why some of our relationships is tore up from the floor up? Because you don't have any self-worth about yourself in the first place. If you had some self-worth about yourself in the first place, your boyfriend, your girlfriend, your husband, or your wife, you don't have to be blowing up their phone every 4 seconds. Where you at? When you doing this? I don't have to do nothing as long as I'm secure in myself. She's coming home because I got what she needs. She has what I need. And I am confident enough of myself. She can look at all the men she want to look at. I ain't got no issue. My thing is, she knows who's the real man. She got eyes, I got eyes. But I know what's mine. Can I get a witness in here? You got to learn how to have your own connection to yourself, in and of yourself, by yourself, and to yourself, and in yourself, in order to have a good relationship. Matter of fact, I was bought with a price. I was bought with the precious blood of Jesus Christ. I'm already somebody by the mere fact that I'm on the top side of this earth. I'm already somebody. History tells us that if you were in the position that Potiphar was in, get this close, immediately after you were sworn in to what Potiphar had you to do, or immediately in his inner circle, you were castrated. Now, we thought, and I thought, before I did some more studying, the reason why they were castrated was because Pharaoh wanted to make sure that none of the guys would mess with his women. That's a lie. Pharaoh had them castrated because Pharaoh believed you could not be trusted enough to stay focused on him. Did y'all hear what I just said? As long as you had organs of stimulation to take your eyes off what he put you on, that's why he had you castrated. So you could lose your passion and be driven only to work for Pharaoh. Which means in some of our relationships, we have been castrated because we think that we've got to do everything for that partner to make him or her a success when it's a dual personality, when we're all supposed to work together to make each and every one of us a success. And if you find somebody, if you're in a relationship and it's only them, kick their behinds to the curb. I think I'm preaching this morning. Can I go on or stop? Yeah. Now watch this. Which means Potiphar no longer has any passion for Mrs. Potiphar. He's no longer attracted to anyone else except Pharaoh. Because at any moment, he could be called to execute someone. Therefore, Potiphar has no feelings. He has no passions. He has no desire. So not only do people only value her by who she is connected to, but the one she is connected to no longer has the capacity to feel anything for her. So she's walking around with a husband who feels nothing for her. Are y'all in here? He's not stimulated by her, no matter what she does, no matter what she wears. And so it's a dual personality. Ladies, if you ain't taking care of your man, he got a problem. Brethren, if you ain't taking care of your wife or your wife, she got a problem. Y'all don't have to talk. So one of the things she does to prove to herself that all is well, that she still has value, look at the text. She says, come sleep with me, Joseph. You are now the head of my house. I'm preaching. Y'all don't have to, I mean, there's some other church, they be shouting by now. Look at the text. Joseph says, watch what Joseph says. He has given me everything except you. Potiphar's wife replies, why not sleep with me anyhow? My husband has placed you in charge of this household. He has this position. He's lost his passion. When we were first married, he wasn't castrated. But he's working all the time now. It's about the Benjamins. Y'all still acting like y'all ain't got nothing going on. It's about his career. And he's forgotten to minister to me. And because I'm not getting at home, I'll take it from a servant. You're not on my husband's level, but I just want to make sure that I'm still attractive. I want to make sure I still have it. So please sleep with me, Joseph, because I'm with a man who's not feeling me anymore. And is it really cheating if I'm not getting it the way I'm supposed to? Is it really wrong to feel if loving you is... I don't want, y'all, come on now. I don't want to be right. I mean, if I'm being neglected and their attention is somewhere else, but Joseph says, get this good, that is not my issue. My issue is getting to where God is trying to take me, and I'm not going to let your issues derail me from where God is trying to lead me. Can I say that again? For those of you who missed it, your issue is not my issue. My issue is getting to where God is trying to take me. And I have no intention of letting your issues derail me from where God is leading me. Which means you need to be able to see when to step away from folk that's in your life who always have issues going on. You need to learn how to say, you know what? I can't get tangled up in your mess because I got to stay focused on where God is trying to take me. But I'm going to tell you what, since I'm a Christian, here's what I'm going to do for you. I'm going to pray for you in a distance. But I'm not calling you. I'm not coming to any more of your pity parties. When I think about you, I'm going to pray for you, but I am not going to get mixed up in the dysfunction of your atmosphere because I'm trying to go somewhere. Oh, Lord. Next lesson. Repeat after me. And I'm getting ready to sit down. Waiting time is never wasted time. Can I get y'all to say that again? Waiting time is never. Say it one more time, because y'all. Waiting time is never. Watch this. Joseph ends up in jail, but he's in the same spot he would have eventually ended up in if he had said yes to Mrs. Potiphar's wife and let's get it on. Have you ever said to yourself, if I had known I was going to still catch hell, I might as well went ahead on and done it. Come on, if y'all be honest with yourself. How many of you struggle, and while you're struggling, sometimes you start talking to God? I know I do. And say, God, I thought as long as I'd be faithful, I wouldn't have to struggle so hard. But here's the key. Joseph is in the same spot, but not for the same purpose. I will say it one more time. Joseph is in the same spot, but not for the same purpose. And that's what I'm trying to get Faith Temple to see. I want y'all to catch this. What you need to focus on is not where God has you, but what is the purpose for where God has you. What is God trying to show me for allowing me to be at this place? Well, here it is. Joseph does not see the exposure of his real gift until he has wrestled with his weakness and walked away from it, but he ends up in confinement. Can I say that again? Joseph does not see the exposure of his real gift until he has wrestled with his weakness. He knows his weakness, and then he walks away from it. Now, what I'm trying to get every member in this church to understand is what your ministry and your gift really is. Because watch this. Joseph's real gift wasn't being a dreamer. I'm going to say it again. Joseph's real gift wasn't being a dreamer. Joseph's real gift was being a dream interpreter. Listen. Please listen. Joseph didn't discover his real gift until he had survived the warfare with his weakness and ended up in a season of confinement and isolation. Woo. Can I tell you, sometimes it's in this place of isolation and confinement where God introduces you to your real gift. It's not until Joseph is placed in prison, in confinement, that Joseph discovers what his real gift is. Just maybe, we have not yet discovered our real gifts because we're still fooling around and playing with our weaknesses. Maybe we have not discovered our real gift because we won't submit ourselves. Get this good, and I'm learning this now. We have not discovered our real gifts because we will not submit ourselves to seasons of isolation where God can show us what he really birthed us for. Joseph gets introduced to his real gift when he gets around people that need what's in him to help them. So if you don't ever get around people who needs what's on the inside of you, then how can it ever get out? You hanging around with your crowd. They hanging around with their crowd. Well, your crowd may have some funky issues, but some of the issues is the same as long as you knew them. So you really can't help them. All you can say is, listen, I'm tired of hearing this. Why don't you go on and do something about yourself? But they got a group over here who could ask you a question that you could really cultivate your own ministry and help them. So here's the question. Joseph, after all you've been through, how is it then that you are still sticking with this goal? You told a dream to folk that you thought you could trust. You told your brothers, and they threw you in a pit. Then they sold you to the Ishmaelites, who sold you into slavery. Then God makes you work on a job that's beneath your anointing. You get accused of a rape by a woman who tried to rape you, and you end up in prison for being faithful. How is it, Joseph, you can still hang on to a God that would do you like this? Joseph said, because I've been through this before. Explain yourself, Joseph. Well, Joseph said, this isn't the first pit I've been thrown in. This isn't the first time I've lost a coat. This isn't the first time somebody lied on me. I'm not going through nothing that God hasn't delivered me from before. What you need to do, church, is to remind yourself that when you're going through this and that, this is not the first time that God has put you in a position of inconvenience and isolation. But every time I'm placed in this kind of a position, God has made a way out of nowhere. This is not the first time I've been sick. This is not the first time my so-called friends have turned their backs on me. This is not the first time that my friends have left me down. This is not the first time I've had situations, but I can tell you that every time I've come into a situation, God has fixed it for me. In closing, in Florida, a couple of years ago, a building burned down, and silver and gold. The insurance adjuster came to this building. And the owner of the building said to the adjuster, I put all my money in this project. And I don't have anything else. I'm homeless. And so the insurance adjuster just looked at him. And he walked around the building. And then he saw this broken down mural that was just torn up. And the adjuster said to him, that was an expensive mural you had. So the man said, what do you think you can give me for it? The justice said, I'm sorry. There needs to be a name on the mural for me to know who fixed it. And so, as the adjuster kept on looking, he looked down in the far corner of where the mural was, and he saw a name. Picture gone, but the name was there. And the adjuster said, I don't have to see the picture. I see the name. So it is in our lives. Jesus only needs to see your name. That's all he needs is to see your name. And if he sees your name, his name is on the other side of your name. And his name is attached to your name. And because his name is attached to your name, you can lose everything. But God says in his word, whatever you need, I've got it. What does it profit a man to gain the whole world and yet turn around?
Silver and gold, silver and gold, I'd rather have Jesus than silver and gold. No fame or fortune, no riches untold, I'd rather have Jesus than silver and gold.
Don't give me a mansion on top of a hill. Don't give me the world with a shallow thrill, but just give me a Savior, my life He can hold. I'd rather have Jesus than silver and gold.
Woke up this morning feeling kind of down. I called on my best friend. She could not be found, but I called on Jesus, my life He can hold. I'd rather have Jesus than silver and gold. Silver and gold, silver and gold, I'd rather have Jesus than silver and gold. No fame or fortune, no riches untold, I'd rather have Jesus. I'd rather have Jesus. I'd rather have Jesus than silver and gold.
Than silver and gold, yeah. Don't give me the world with a shallow thrill, but give me Jesus, Jesus. In the midnight hour, when all your money is gone, I'd rather have Jesus. Oh, rather have